the funeral or memorial service rather for late Chief Secretary Mr. T.H.A. I met with the family as well as others integral in the planning of the service yesterday evening. We met yesterday evening and finalized the plans. The family certainly desires a quick turnaround, and so the service is to take place tomorrow, Thursday the 4th of January 2024. There will be public viewing between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So if you desire to see the late Chief Secretary lying in state, then you can come to the Shaw Park complex where the service will be held for the public viewing, which will happen between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. The service itself officially starts at 11 a.m. There will not be a second viewing after the service. So if you desire to be part of the viewing, you need to be here between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Further to that, having had the discussions with the family, there are some additional bits of information that I would like you to note. In the first instance, tomorrow, the 4th of January, the Tobago House of Assembly will be closing its doors to allow for all of our employees to attend the funeral service here at Shaw Park. So the T.H.A, all of the divisions and departments of the Tobago House of Assembly, notice I said Tobago House of Assembly, we have no remit over those agencies and or departments that are under the 6th schedule or are operated by the central government. But those that are operated by the Tobago House of Assembly will close its doors tomorrow to facilitate attendance to the funeral service in the morning. Second to that, we have decided that there will also not be regular school for our pupils and students, and that we will have representation from all of our schools on the island here at the funeral service tomorrow. The Division of Education has already put in place transportation to move the students and pupils here for the funeral service. And the Division of Education is also preparing to provide the usual school lunches for those school students who will be in attendance here tomorrow at the funeral service. So one, there will not be any school, and two, the T.H.A will be closing its offices tomorrow for the to facilitate rather attendance to the funeral service here at Shaw Park complex. Between the hour of 8 and 9 a.m., between the hour of 8 and 9 a.m., between the junction at Scarborough Secondary and the food hub, there will be no vehicular traffic, and that is to facilitate the procession of the hearse and other implements towards Shaw Park. So for 1 hour in the morning, between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., no vehicular traffic will be allowed between the junction at Scarborough Secondary at the Milford Road Extension, where we're at right now, and the food hub. So you're asked to use alternative routes, meaning that you can utilize the highway to get around this area. However, from 9 a.m., this particular roadway will be reopened because we pretty much expect you, the public, to come and to find the parking here at Shaw Park complex or at the food hub or other appropriate spaces so that you can attend the funeral service for Mr. Charles. Let me add that currently there is There is a condolence book at the Assembly Legislature. I had the privilege of signing it earlier this morning, and the condolence book will remain there for your signature and for your best wishes to the family of Mr. Charles. There will also be condolence books here at Shaw Park tomorrow. So if you don't get an opportunity to go to the Assembly Legislature to sign those books, you can come here at Shaw Park and have those books signed. The family has requested no flowers or wreaths, and we ask that you respect the family's wishes. The family wishes. There will be no wake as per the request of the family, so there is no wake. I know on this island people love the wake and so on, but the family has requested no wake, and there will be no wake as per their request. Mr. Charles was Tobago's first chief secretary. In fact, he won the election in December 1996, practically on the cusp of the new T.H.A. Act 40 of 1996. In fact, he probably won it with some hours before the act was proclaimed, and had the fortunate privilege of setting up most of the structures that we do inherit now and that we do use now for the Tobago House of Assembly. Many of you will not be aware that Mr. Charles also played a pivotal role in the government of the late E.N.R. Robinson in 1990, post the coup, and most people don't recognize that he also played a role at that time in the setting up of some of our national security apparatus to treat with the reality that the country just had a coup, attempted coup, and that there was a need to put things in place to ensure that there will never be a repeat of such. Mr. Charles has perhaps been Tobago's most prolific, modern and prolific voice for autonomy for the island. Very consistent, very bold, and even brazen in his fight for Tobago autonomy. And he certainly has left a legacy here for the island, with several of the things he implemented here on island. And we have to find ways to honor Mr. Charles in this moment. And whether you were a political adversary of him, whether you supported his politics or not, you certainly can appreciate that Mr. Charles played quite a vital role for the development of the island and setting up of the Tobago House of Assembly as we now know it. And so it is our wish that he be properly honored tomorrow at the service, at the funeral service, which will be held here at Shaw Park Complex from 11 a.m. Once again, please note that the pre-viewing or the public viewing is for 2 hours, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Please note that to facilitate the procession of the body into Shaw Park, that the area between the junction at Scarborough Secondary and the food hub will be closed off to regular vehicular traffic for just that 1 hour period between 8 and 9 a.m. Please note that the formal part of the service starts at 11 a.m. The family is requesting no flowers, no wreaths, and at this time, the best thing that the island can do for Mr. Charles is to support the bereaved family. So, are there any questions from members of the media?
Hi, good afternoon, Chief Secretary.
Sure.
Candace Jackson from Tobago Updates. We also got some information that there's some activity happening at the Ring Bank statue. Is this part of the recognition, the observance for Mr. Charles? And if so, what are the details that's happening there?
I'm not sure what information you got about what's happening at the Ring Bank statue, For sure, we are cleaning in and around the area. And you know, in Mr. Charles' passing, as an island, when we look back, we need to ask ourselves if we were totally fair to him in how we assess some of his initiatives, such as the Ring Bang initiative. Before this island understood what event tourism was, before this island spent hundreds of millions in a jazz festival, and one time we had drum festival, and we had all sorts of festivals. There was the Ring Bang festival as a main thrust towards event tourism. And he, at that time, was soundly criticized for the investment in Ring Bang. And you know, it's sad to see that after we criticized him, and I'm speaking in the collective, we as an island, granted at that time, I could not vote in 2001. In fact, I was still a school student at that time. But as an island, as a collective, we were very critical of that investment in Ring Bang. And I don't know if it is because the party that took power after him was also critical of the investment in Ring Bang, why as an island collectively we have not done anything really in and around where that statue is, which, by the way, from our assessment is excellent engineering. It's actually an engineering marvel in terms of how it is constructed and the fact that it stands and it's not corroding to the point of falling down. And I think I said sometime in the past that, you know, the Ring Bang man stands there with its mouth ajar, laughing at all of us as an island. That which we were critical of, we eventually invested ton loads of money into similar programs and structures. And so, for sure, we are cleaning up in and around the Ring Bang statue, the monument. We are looking into the possibility of having it lit so that even in the night it can be seen. Whether that will be a possibility at this time immediately, that is unsure. What we are hoping to do is that if we can get it lit, at least have it lit for a 7-day period from tomorrow night, and then pause and do the necessary infrastructural works so that it can be permanently lit. But I can't indicate now whether or not that will in fact be a possibility, because they're currently doing the work, cleaning in and around it, cutting back the brush so that you will see the statue much more clearly and all of that. And maybe that's one of the areas that as a collective we perhaps should apologize for, that, you know, we just ignored it. They left it in the bush at Signal Hill all this while and did nothing with it. It's just something for us to consider as an island.
And just really quickly before, I know the other reporters might be wanting to ask some questions, but we also had the passing of our 5th Prime Minister, Mr. Panday, and I just don't know if you have any words or anything to share upon his passing.
Well, certainly I will want to extend condolences to his family, to his wife and his daughters, and Mr. Panday came into office as a result of support from 2 Tobago seats at a time when the election resulted in 17-17-2, and there was no clear majority in the House of Representatives, and the 2 Tobago seats, including Mr. Robinson and Ms. Pamela Nicholson, they joined with him in a coalition to form the government. And so Tobago is certainly responsible for the first time he became Prime Minister in a significant way. He lived a long life. He gave to public service. And you know, we are often very critical of politicians, and as a politician, we are critical of each other. And sometimes we are critical in maybe even in some crass ways sometimes. But when all is said and done, as a country, we perhaps need to do more in recognizing and honoring the people who give of themselves to public service, like Mr. Panday did, like T.H.A. did. Because when you give of yourself to public service in that way, very often your own families have to be ignored, or your own families suffer because you just don't have enough time to give to them. There are politicians in this country whose children are growing up without them, because they are home late every night. They're out very early in the morning. They are out on weekends. Public holidays may not be really a holiday because you also have work to do, and if for no other reason other than the fact that this level of public service calls for quite a lot of work and giving of oneself, that to me is sufficient for us to honor people who have given of themselves to public service. And certainly when they have given of themselves for a period such as extensive as Mr. Panday did, for such a long period of time, certainly the country deserves to stop and pay attention and give honor where honor is due. And so, like the rest of the country, we are also flying our flags at half-mast. Like the rest of the country, we are awaiting the information on the funeral arrangements, and certainly we do all we can to also honor Mr. Panday and what he contributed to the country of Trinidad and Tobago as a whole.
And then just finally, we're also starting this year with crime being the forefront of what's going on the ground here in Tobago. What can you share with us as to what are you doing in the background? What are the conversations you are having to get crime under control?
Well, I would prefer if we have this conversation at another presser. However, to answer you in short, just yesterday, ACP Hazel and I met to discuss what are his strategies and how the Tobago House of Assembly can help with those strategies and sharpening those strategies so that they can be more effective. And certainly we will want at a later point subsequent to the funeral tomorrow to sit with you, the public, and to go through some of those strategies, of course, in the most responsible way, because an element of successful crime fighting also has to include an element of surprise, to those who have a penchant for nefarious activities. But certainly quite a lot is happening in the background. What we also intend to do at the T.H.A. level is to ramp up what we term community services, because we spend a lot of our resources, and the T.H.A. includes spend a lot of our resources on hardware. So, for example, the T.H.A. spends to help get vehicles for the police service. The T.H.A. spends to rent places for members of the police service, and not just the police service, but national security, so they can stay on the island to assist with the fight. We spend money perhaps to fix up a prison there, or to do some work in a police station at the army camp in Signal Hill, and to some work with Coast Guard and so on. But those in and of themselves are investments in really the hardware. I think where we have to put more investment is in social cohesion, is in community services, as we call them, and getting our people, in particular our younger people, engaged productively for longer hours during the day. It has to also include how we as a community take responsibility for what happens within our community. And if it is you reside in a community, and Tobago is small, let us be real, if you reside in a community, you know all the people who selling drugs in your community. They live home by you. you are benefiting from it, then you are also part of the problem. You understand? And so as a community, we have to ask ourselves if we are doing enough. Certainly given where we have seen the numbers with murders going to Tobago, we have to admit that we are not doing enough as a collective, the island as a whole. And certainly as the government of the island, we intend to do more and insist on doing more. But that also has to be met with the community also doing more to ensure we have safer communities. Are there any other questions? Any of those online? Are there? I'm seeing Timas. Timas, followed by Mr. Leacock.
Good morning, Mr. Augustine.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, my questions are, is the T.H.A. covering the cost of the funeral for Mr. Charles? You mentioned you met with the family. In what way is the T.H.A. assisting? And second question, let's do with that first question, please.
Yes, the T.H.A. is covering the cost. Yes, the T.H.A. is covering the cost of the funeral. What those costs are, that's not immediately clear, because remember he passed on All Year's Day on the 31st. Then we had a public holiday on the 1st of January. We met on the first working day of the year, which was yesterday. It's only yesterday the family had the body removed by the undertakers at Belgrove, who is doing the funeral. And so what we don't have at the moment is what are those costs based on what services Belgrove will be giving to the family. Additional to that, we expect to have some additional costs in that to prepare Shaw Park here, to prepare staging and to ensure seating and decorations and those simple things. Audio visual, so sound engineering and all of that, those things will come at a cost. So I can't give you a cost immediately, but the T.H.A. is committing to carrying the cost of the funeral.
All right. And, is the central government in any way involved, given that he served at that level in the Senate? Is the central government involved in any way with the organizing and hosting? On the undertaking of the funeral for Mr. Charles?
At this moment, that answer is no, but there will be, from my information, there will be members of the central government who will be present for the funeral tomorrow. So certainly they are showing support and have shown support to the family. Members of the central government have reached out to the family. Some have called my office getting details. So we expect a few of them to be in attendance. They have been supporting, but the T.H.A. is carrying the cost. And to be quite honest, I think it should be the T.H.A. to carry this cost, because he served for a longer period in the Tobago House of Assembly, and on all fronts he represented Tobago. So Tobagonians, let us put our money into burying our own son, please. Mr. Leacock?
Final question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Final question. You mentioned, is it that an announcement is going to be made tomorrow with regards to some sort of honoring of Mr. Charles?
Yes, there will be some further announcements tomorrow in terms of his honoring and how he will be honored in a much more permanent way. Mr. Leacock? Radio Tambourine, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I wanted to find out if there was a military element to the funeral at all, just because I think that Mr. Charles would have liked that. I suspect he would have liked that, one, and two. You gave a little description of the issue with the Ringbank Monument. And I'm not sure that the Ringbank Monument was all about event tourism. there's another element associated with it that I'm not sure that even during the funeral time is the right time to discuss it. Because there's another element about that whole thing and the use of funds that kind of colored that thing in a particular way. But I just thought I'd mention it, but I hope that there's an opportunity to have a public discourse about there should be maybe a public debate, and maybe one of the ways that Mr. Charles will be honored, maybe a really balanced public debate about his service that becomes part of the archive. But I am sure that the disquiet with the Ringbang monument was not limited to the question of event tourism only at the time. That's all other things appropriate to say at this point. But I'd like to find out about the military element, just because I think that Mr. Charles quite like that kind of thing.
Yes, we are hoping for a military element. I wrote to the Minister of National Security this morning, asking for him to grant leave for members of the Defense Force to be part of the procession. I also sent some communication to the TTPS through ACP Hazel, asking for the police to be there and there be some escort. Mr. Charles, as Chief Secretary, was the first Chief Secretary to be granted security from the state, and perhaps the only one to use outriders in a more permanent manner. And so the heavy ruler should rule out beyond yonder in similar fashion. And so we are trying to pull together, granted that it's at the very last minute because it's a very short period of time we have to prepare. Literally, this is the second working day since his death. So we have not had much time to plan and execute it, but we are preparing for a military element. And that's part of the reason why the area between the junction at Scarborough Secondary and the food hub will be blocked for vehicular traffic for that 1 hour period in the morning. Really, the Ringbang Monument, I did not say at all that it was only about event tourism, but I wanted to make the point that that was perhaps our first major stint at event tourism, and we have had many and millions of other similar investments. And from where I sit as Chief Secretary, with the ability to look back and look at the data and the files, we have also had many other elements with questionable spending for event tourism. This is an island that spent, 400 and something thousand for an artist that never show up here. So I'm just thinking that we somehow, as an island, judge some softer than we judge others. And I just wanted to make that point quite clear. But I also agree with you that perhaps a good thing will be to have some debates and public discourse about his legacy as a way of looking at the things he was able to achieve, looking even at his failures, and looking at his intent and all of those things. I think having that, especially with our young people, will be a good place to go. Ms. Singh, Nadaline Singh, I saw your hand up. I'm not sure which media house. Or Channel 5? Channel 5?
Yes. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Basically, it was my question was, in fact, when's in fact the Tobago public is going to be hearing about what will be done to honor Mr. Charles, but someone else took in front, so I got my question answered. Thank you very much, too, for acknowledging.
All right, you're welcome. So I see no other hands. You know, I really wish that we did not end the year 2023 with a death of that magnitude. But it is what it is, and Tobago remains grateful for Mr. Charles's contribution to the island. We are grateful for the fight he put up on all our behalf, and we look forward to not just honoring him tomorrow and in the near future, but we're looking at ways we can truly honor him by ensuring that we can finally get the levels of autonomy that Tobago has been grappling with and fighting for the longest while. That fight predates Mr. Charles. If you go all the way back to James Bigat, you will see such a fight happening. A P.T. James, A.N.R. Robinson, Dr. Winston Murray, and you come all the way up to Mr. Charles. And we have had others post Mr. Charles, and we will continue the fight until such time as Tobago gets some form of historical justice. So thank you. Please enjoy the rest of the day. Be safe, everyone.